Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Dr. Hollywood, and I'm laughing a little bit because I'm not really familiar with this process. I'm really good at making presentations, though, but I guess let's just get to the point. So, this is going to be a channel about God. I created this channel because I used to be an atheist. And on April 23rd of 2020, I had a vision. And I'm going to tell you the story. So this is going to be the first video. And I've made a couple videos like this on TikTok, but you cannot really go on TikTok for more than so many minutes. And so I really wanted to get this all out in one video. So please bear with me. I'm very new at this, but I'm going to share a presentation with you so that you can follow along a lot better. I think the strategy is better than just going on TikTok and not really being able to show the visualization to people. So let's get started. So again, thank you for joining my channel. So on April 23rd of 2020, I had a vision from God. I was an atheist. Okay, sorry, I'm a little slow at this here. So before I get into the vision, I first want to talk a little bit about dreams so that you have a good background of an understanding of what occurred in my vision. So let's talk about some science on dreams. So currently right now, this is just like a broad overview of what I did online. There are no references here, no citations, but this is common knowledge. So the science on dreams is basically this: dreams are subjective. In a summarized sheet of paper, what we have found is that depending on our beliefs is usually how we will interpret the meaning of our dreams. Okay. And dreams can be made up of memories and day-to-day experiences. Dreams enhance our cognition, our memory processes, and prepare us for life-threatening events. Dreams are made up of electrical impulses. Dreams can be a collection or collections of memories, emotions, thoughts, or desires. Okay. And so what they think they know about dreams is that they occur during certain stages of sleep. The more intense dreams will occur during rapid eye movement, which is called REM. And but dreams can also occur during non-REM. I call this category this and that. So dreams can be both voluntary and involuntary. They can be coherent or incoherent. Maybe what you see or what you hear or what's going on, and they can both be logical or illogical, meaning it can make perfect sense or it can make no sense. And the meaning behind the dreams, science believes that it's just psychological self-reflection. So I am a big science person. Okay, like I've done a lot of research in my schooling. I am a doctor of clinical nutrition. So, I've done a lot of schooling, and I was a person who, if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it. So, I have a really good background on science. Okay. So this is why I always include science in anything that I do, is because it's empirical and it's made to prove things right or wrong. But we're going to get into that later. Okay. So let's talk about my dream habits. Okay. So, contrary to what we just read, right, which is common knowledge all over the internet, this is what it's like for me to have a dream. So, a little bit of background is that I've always had dreams, right? There has never been a day in the world where I didn't have a dream. I dream every day, every night. Um, and normally on a normal day, because I don't think I was really clear when I was on TikTok about this, is I normally will have a dream 1 to 3 at the least, and normally between 1 and 7. So, like, I'll have 7 different things that I have dreamt about. And I feel like they kind of like one will go into another, and one will go into another, and one will go into another, like 7 different types of dreams. On a rare day, I can have up to 12. That's a lot. But it has happened. So I have a really good memory. I can remember most of my dreams, right? I mean, I can still remember dreams from when I was 7 to 8 years old. But on the contrary, in contrast, I have very poor working memory upon waking with certain dreams as well. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll wake up and poof, I mean, snap of a finger, it's gone. Like, I can't tell you what happened. It's just like poof, gone. So I find that kind of strange. I call it instantaneous forgetting, and yes, I spelled that wrong. However, I am a very lucid dreamer, and so I'm very coherent. I'm very aware that I'm dreaming. Even if my dreams are incoherent or illogical, I can still know that I'm dreaming. And I think that's why I know that I'm dreaming, is because a lot of them are incoherent and illogical. And I know there's something not right. And I'm like, this is off. This isn't real. And then I realize, oh, you know why? Because I bet I'm dreaming again. Like, this isn't what happened yesterday. So, anyways, one of the rare things that I have is that I have the ability to control my dreams. Most of the time, not all the time, most of the time. Once I realize that I'm dreaming, well, sky's the limit, right? I mean, I can start doing whatever I want in there. But that can become a problem, because depending on how I feel, I guess, maybe, or what's maybe going on in my real life, is what happens or what I desire to have in my dream. And sometimes my desires aren't always what I want them, what I think I want them to be. And so I think that dreams can be a wake-up call as well as to what we truly want. But I do have nightmares. They are not as often as they used to be, because I am pretty much recovered from my trauma. But I now can force myself to wake up from dreams. And how I do this, if I can't force myself to wake up, I can jump. And I call it jumping because I don't know what to call it. I haven't done that much research on scientific dreams, but I can jump from one dream world or land to another. So if I have a whole bunch of zombies coming after me, like, raw, I'm like, I ain't with all this. I'll jump into, like, fairyland or something, whatever just, pops into my head. But a more interesting thing about my dreams is that I can solve puzzles, right? So if there's something that's bothering me that I've been trying to figure out for a while, I will think about it, and I'll think about it before I go to sleep. Like, I'll just repeat it over and over again, but not by purpose, but sometimes by mistake, I can even solve things. And I'll be dreaming about how to solve something that's been bothering me, and I'll figure it out, and I'll wake up and it will all make perfect sense. And I'm like, oh, I figured it out. And like, so I always use the PlayStation story with this, where me and my son were trying to hook up his PlayStation. We were trying to get cable through it, and I couldn't figure out how to do that. And so I figured it out in my dream, and there was like a certain wire I needed to do to plug it in, and then it worked or whatever. Um, and so that was back in the day though. And so I can solve problems. And then sometimes my dreams are desires of past events or past events. Events that had happened that I really wish they went a different way. And lastly, I always like to save the best for last. I have what I call premonitions, or you can call them revelations, whatever you want to call them. But basically, I have dreams about future events. For example, people, which really scares me. So I'll have a dream about a person who maybe they passed away. And so what will happen is they will pass away. So it's a little scary because I'm talking about people I normally do not dream about, like will ever dream about, not normally, like I never dream about. It'll be like a neighbor that I had from 10 years ago, that I've never dreamt about. I'll randomly dream about them and they'll pass away. And so now when we talk about premonitions, we talk about something that is due to occur that occurs. And so sometimes I'm not clear on how they pass away, right? And they can pass away within 3 days of the dream or within months. What I have noticed with the premonitions is that it's never more than a year, right? So if it's a dream that is to come true, it's come true within that year. I don't know if that's a thing. I'm not making it up. This is just what happens in my life. But that's a thing that I've noticed with me, is that it does happen, but it happens within the year, sometimes right away, sometimes it may take months. And so that is an overview of my dream habits. So let's get into really why we're here, the vision of God. And so I don't laugh, but I made these amazing slides. Look at this. Okay. So, so we're going to get into the story now. So I'm dreaming. Now, I want you to remember that I'm an atheist at this time. It is the morning of April 23rd of 2020. I'm dreaming, I'm in La La Land, I'm doing my thing, woohoo, right? And all of a sudden, my dream starts to become erased, like an eraser, right? And you can't see anything anymore. And I'm all of a sudden just standing there. And this outfit, by the way, I made this emoji, in a white space. And I'm like, what? Like, what is going on? What happened to my dream? And it was just gone, and there was nothing there. It was just me and white space, right? And at first, it's like how you're looking at the picture now. Like I could see myself from afar. And that's what's really funny, is because dreams always say they're in first person, but this one was different. I could see myself from afar, like I was having an outer body experience. And there was no floor, no ceiling, no walls, no buildings, no earth, no land, no smell, no time, and no sense of gender. So none of these things existed. And it became very clear to me at that moment that man, basically, we, us, people, humans, we made these things up. And I don't know why I became aware of it all of a sudden. I just did. It's like I suddenly knew these things. And so I'm just standing here, and I'm like, what happened? And I realize I'm not dreaming anymore. I didn't jump. I'm not dreaming. Like I'm somewhere else. And in this beautiful, just white space. And then all of a sudden, this light shines on me, right? And I'm like, whoa. And I hear my name and I hear Jasmine. And it's like this immaculate voice, right? It's powerful, loving, heavy, soft, like all of these wonderful things. And I hear my name and I know immediately, right? Immediately that it is God. Like I knew it immediately. And I'm like, the first thing that rolls off my tongue, I always laugh because it's like a comedy. The first thing that rolls off my tongue is like, whoa, dude, like, God, you're real, like, what? And I'm flabbergasted because you guys have to understand, I am an atheist. I do not believe in God. And I know I'm in the presence of the Almighty, the Alpha Omega. Okay. Like I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. And so I'm like, whoa, like you're real. And I'm astounded. And at that moment, I had this like familiar feeling. And I felt it before, which was so strange because like I never felt it before now, right? But I knew now that I had felt it before. And and so that is what made me feel very comfortable, is because there was like this familiar sense of feeling. And then all of a sudden it like occurred to me, like, wait a minute, I'm 38 years old, dude. Like, where you been all my life, bro? So now I'm thinking that, like, wait a minute, like I never believed in God. And excuse me, I kind of get a little emotional, but I'm like, I've been living my life for 38 years, man. Why are you just now revealing yourself to me? Like, why? And so, I'm thinking this, and it's kind of like we have this omnipresence type of communication, is like what I think. He already knows what I'm thinking before I can say it. It's kind of weird. So I'm thinking this, right? And I'm like, why now? Like, why have you come now? And you know what he says? Because you're ready. Like, what? Like, what do you mean? Because I'm ready. Like, what does that mean? And so I'm thinking all kinds of stuff, like, what? Because I didn't believe. Well, I didn't believe yesterday. Like, so what do you mean I'm ready? And so I don't really know what to make of it. And so what I'm saying is, when you're ready, maybe to accept him, or when you're maybe to a certain stage in life, or I don't know. I'm still guessing here till this day. I'm what this, it's like 2024 right now. It's been like over almost 5 years since this has happened to me. But what I'm saying is it's like you have to hit a certain state, I feel like, before he comes to you, I guess, maybe some kind of spiritual state or something. I don't know. But whatever, he was like, because you're ready. And so, of course, I'm like, ready for what? And he was like, to complete your life's purpose. Okay. And so, sorry, somebody texted me. Um, and so, anyways, so I'm like, my life's purpose, like, wow, okay, yeah, like this is so cool, right? Like, what am I going to be? Famous, a celebrity? And I'm not saying it, but I'm thinking it, like, and he's like, nope, your purpose is to solely help others complete their life's purpose. I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? And it's funny, but it's not funny. Like I said, it's kind of like a comedy, like this experience here. But I'm literally like, what? And I feel like this is so important for me to explain to people, because even though I feel like I'm a great person and all that, it really goes to show how self-centered we are as humans, how we think. And I was very self-centered. I was like, you want me to serve other people? Like, what? Like, no. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, I want to be famous. And so I know the terminology now, but when I was in the dream with God, the Lord Almighty or Jesus. I didn't know the terminology. So what we often do is we covet, right? That's like the main thing. We always want everything. We desire to have. We want to be famous. We want the best clothes. We want this. We want that. We want the best job, the best car. So, like my thought process is like, what do you mean? You want me to serve other people? You want me to help other people complete their purpose? And I mean, I already thought I was a good person. And so, yeah, he was basically like, to help others complete their life's purpose. So, of course, I'm like, well, how am I going to do that? Like it seemed like to be a big burden. Like, okay, like my purpose is one thing, but you're talking about helping other people. And there's no number, but in my head, like I told you, there's like an omnipresence going on. Like we can telecommunicate almost. In my head, I knew that I was going to be helping thousands of people, thousands and thousands of people. And so I was like, I'm not sure how I'm going to do that. And he was like, you have work to do. Okay. And so all of a sudden, I hope these graphics help you guys out a little bit. All of a sudden, right, this movie screen pops up in front of me, and it's like an old film projector type film. So that's why I have this on the slide here. Um, so I'm like, oh, cool, right? And so he's showing me like these images or whatnot. And he tells me that I have work to do. So in my head, I'm like, oh yeah, works. Like, and remind you, atheist. I maybe visited church a few times with maybe people I dated, my mom when I was like 5, things like that. I had a Bible, but I very rarely ever looked at it. If I did, it was out of desperation and anger and things like that. You know what I mean? I definitely had no clue what he was talking about, but I had heard of work before. And so my response back to God is basically like, yeah, works, right? Yeah, I've heard that before. That biblical thing works. Yeah, we all have works. And so, and so I'm just making a fool out of myself at this point. But he didn't even care. He didn't even care, right? He loved everything about me, which is so crazy because the whole time I was like in there with him. So, first of all, you can never see what's behind this light. It's just this light shining down on you the whole time and in a voice. But you can feel all this emotion. It's crazy. And so, anyway, so he's like, yes, you have work to do. And so on this, film, he starts to show me things. And he says, you have 3 tasks. So this is when he gives me the mission. And the first part of the mission is to change my name to Hollywood, hence Dr. Hollywood. But this isn't some made up name, okay? Like this is my husband's last name. And I was already married, but it didn't take my husband's last name. And I had to get a new name for whatever reason. It was very important. And so I was like, okay, but why? And he was like, you just have to, basically. But in my head, like I said, we had this like omnipresent telepathic type of communication going on. I knew that it was because he was giving me a new name, right? Like a new me. And so then he was like, the second thing is that you're going to become a doctor. So of course I get all excited. I'm jumping up and down like, yes, I am going to be someone important. I'm still being selfish. And that's when he goes, but not the doctor you want to be. And I was like, wait, what? And I imagine like the doctor with the stethoscope and the white coat, everything going on. And I'm like, I'm not going to be the doctor I want to be. And he's like, no, but you will become a doctor, just not the one you want to be. Of course, I knew that meant I had to learn to heal people. So for a long time, I thought my purpose was to go heal people. Right. And I'm like, I'm going to learn everything I can about healing. And so I know a lot about healing, spiritual and nutritional and things like that. But that wasn't the kind of healing he was talking about. I know that now, but I didn't know that then. Right. And then the third thing was he said I had to use my voice. And again, he was not specific. And he showed me this Red Yeti microphone. Okay. And it all made perfect sense. I was like, oh yeah, 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 use my voice, right. And then I was like, but wait a minute, no one is gonna listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, my whole life I've been told to keep my mouth shut your mouth. You don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I can go on and on and on with all this stuff that I've ever heard. You talk too much, da da da. So I started really thinking about like this last task, like if I was able to do it. And it had nothing to do with telling the truth. Like that was easy. I was very blunt. But I was like, I don't really think people are going to listen to me. So I pleaded with God and I was combative with him, which is kind of funny because I read the Bible now and it's like, don't ever do that. That's what's so funny about it. But I was very combative with him. I was like, no, like I've sinned so greatly. And if I had to tell it, and I'm going to tell it, then I didn't know what the 10 Commandments were, but I do now. If you listed them, I've broken every commandment, all 10 of them. So, I mean, I knew I was a sinner. I knew I was unlawful. I knew I had done things in my past. I struggled to get to where I was at. You know what I mean? Struggled to get out of that crab bucket. And so I was telling God, like, no, like, no one's going to listen to someone like me, man. I'm nobody. Like, I'm no one. And now, pretty much, this guy's telling me I'm not going to be famous. So now no one really is going to listen to me. And so then, of course, then I start pleading, like, but I've suffered, So basically, I'm there pleading with him, like, please hear me, hear what I have to say. Like, don't give me this task. And, so then I go into how much that I've suffered and all the trauma I experienced, my whole life, which is a buffet of stuff. That's going to be like a whole nother video. And he assured me, he said, it's because of my suffering, because of my sins, that people would know that I was authentic, that they would know that I'm telling the truth. It's like hard to explain, but it all made sense when I was in there with him. I say in there because I don't really know where I was at, some kind of place. But maybe I was in a third heaven. Who knows? But not in heaven, but in the third heaven, like between here and there. But it all made sense. And I was just like, okay, they're gonna know then, okay. So, anyways, I was like, but how will I know, you know, um, like where to go, what to do, what to say, like what, well, because I could feel like he was leaving, right? Like I could feel his presence is starting to die out, like go. And I mean, I literally didn't want to step out of there. That's another thing. Like I wanted to stay there forever. Like I didn't even want to come back from where I was at. Okay. And I don't know if that's normal or not, but that's how I felt. Like the love was so powerful. Like I've never felt anything like that in my entire life, well, once because I felt it before because I was familiar with it, right? So I knew he had come to me before. I just don't know when he came to me. I don't know if this was all pre-planned or if he came to me as a child or what. Like I don't know, but I knew I had felt it before. So, anyways, I'm like, how will I know what to say? How will I know where to go? And so basically, what he was telling me was that if it was his way, the path that he wanted me to be on, it was going to be easy. There was going to be an open door for me. When he decides it and plans it, you'll go slide on through it, right? Right on in there. But if it's your will, your way, things you want to do for your desires, your selfish ambitions, whatever, not the way I deem it to be, you're not going to be able to get there. I mean, you'll struggle, right? And so he was saying, you know, like it'll be a closed door. Like you're not going to get through. There's going to be stop signs, red lights, obstacles, barriers that are going to hold me back. That's going to be how I know whether he wants me to go forward with a decision. So basically, like he was telling me, like, I'm going to be guiding you. And this is my way of telling you, Jasmine, no, do not go that way. Okay. And so I was like, oh, yeah. Like, again, like everything made sense. I had this sense of awareness. And so I was like, okay, you know, and so till this day, you know, if I start, you know, trying to do something and I'm hitting a lot of red lights and I'm driving, I'm like, yep, I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this today. Right. And I will take that as a sign from God. I never did that before. I would always push through and fight. And so that was the other thing, was I was always a fighter, you know. And so like now you're telling me not to fight, you're telling me to step back and let you lead the way. You're telling me not to make decisions. Like I I don't know if I can handle that, you know? And so that was just not who I was. Like I always had to fight my whole life to get to where I'm at, you know? And so I was like, okay, I see. And so then as he was leaving, I guess, or his presence was fading, he said that there was one thing I had to know. And that was that there is no such thing as right and wrong. There is only good and evil. And I don't know why or how, but I understood it. And I knew then I was like this type of person that if I wasn't right or if I couldn't find you to be righteous, I had a problem with you. So that's just who I was. And I'd be like, well, that person's wrong, you know, or whatever. But anyways, I felt like that had a lot to do with it. Like it was to strengthen me. But the other thing was for him to he was trying to explain to me that there is no one person who's more correct than another. You know, there's not one person who's more righteous than another. There's not one person who's better than another, right? Like it was about equality is basically what he was saying. All sin is equal and all good is equal. If you are evil and you are intending to do something to harm someone, it doesn't matter if it's, you know, I don't know, flicking them in the ear to piss them off or to go out there and slay them. Evil is evil. It's all equal in his eye. And good is good. And it's all equal in his eye. If you do good for 5 minutes or if you do good for 3 hours, it doesn't matter. You both did something good, right? And so good is good. It's all equal. And I think there's even some stuff in the Bible, I think now that I've read, now that I'm reading it every day, that actually points to, I think, Moab or Boam or whatever his name was, where he hired all those people to come work in the field. And the one people got mad because they were like, we've been working all day and we're going to get the same pay as people that only worked for an hour. And it was like a parable. And basically what they were trying to say is it doesn't matter. Work is work, right? It doesn't matter if you worked all day or not. Like you both worked. And I said I'd pay you both the same amount, right? And so that's kind of like the same thing. Sin is sin and good is good. I hope that helps. So anyways, so yeah, I really wanted to thank you guys for, you know, watching this video. This is the introduction video to my new YouTube channel. And what we're going to be doing on this channel is we're going to be talking about God. And so, why am I even talking about dreams though? Oh, well, God came to me in a vision when I was dreaming. And so what I have here is some stuff that I wrote down. So, in the next videos, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be explaining dreams, okay? And identifying prophets to see if they exist and talking about false prophets. We're also going to be talking about the 144,000. But before we do that, I have messages from God. This is what I was going to tell you. So since my vision, now, like I said, I've always dreamed, but since my vision, I've had some serious dreams going on. Not that my dreams weren't serious before, but they've changed, I guess is how I want to put it. And so I am going to be interpreting all of the messages to you guys that I've been getting. And so I don't know that this is normal or not, but I'm very excited. And as we go on, we will learn together. And we will always use the Bible for our reference guide and the scripture that God gives me to use. Okay, and so I just wanted to say this is so amazing that this is probably the most important message that I could ever give you guys, that God truly is real. Take it from an atheist, take it from me, the atheist, okay, who now is a theist, right? So I was an atheist and now I'm a theist. So I believe now. And I think it's sad that it took him to enter into my life that way for me to become a believer. But I feel like this is going on with a lot of people. And so people need to understand that this was not a near-death experience, okay? This was a vision, and he exists. And there's something going on beyond our world that we cannot even comprehend. And so we need to get it together. Get it together, start repenting, begin following the Lamb, because this is the last testament, you guys. And you are not stumbling upon this. You were meant to hear this message. So do not tread lightly because the clock is ticking. Thanks for watching.